Standing by for net. Standing.
Yes, Mike, we're here now. No, not this week. I'm on holiday next week, Mike. Just mute that fella. So, good evening all. Welcome to the BATC QO100 Net. Seem to have some audio, that's good. From G8GKQ. Right. We have, I see G0MJW. We'll put you on first, Mike, followed by John, G7JTT. Followed by Keith, GU6EFB, followed by Nigel, 2E0EHH, then Jim, G7NTG, Richard, GI4DOH, who else have I got there? Martin, G4FKK. If there's anybody else, please come up on the chat. Parish notices for this week. Don't forget it's an activity weekend this weekend for 70 and 23 SEMs. Be good to get some activity out there. Next week and the following week I shall be away. So Martin, G4FKK, has very kindly agreed to host the net next week and the following week, and Noel will be streaming it. So it will be business as usual, but without me. I'll be somewhere on my way down to the Mediterranean for a couple of weeks. I see you there, Martin and Gareth. I've added you to the list. And good evening, Roger. Acknowledge you're just watching for tonight. So without further ado, let's put it round to Mike, see what he's been up to. G0MJW and the net, G8GKQ.
Okay, thanks Dave. Sorry it was a bit of a while before the test card came up. It does seem to take a while when there's not much movement in the picture. I think I'm probably not sending enough iframes. Anyway, good evening everyone. Good evening Dave, glad you're going to have a nice holiday. I should pass it on to, by the way, please do, because I can't remember. I have a goldfish style memory. Just a few things on the bench then. There's an interloper there which has nothing to do with DATV. I might be able to show a picture of what that is related to in a second. The parts for the latest project, which is an amplifier control board, slowly building up. Bits and pieces are arriving. Still haven't got the PCBs yet, but they've been shipped. And there is an LNB, a four-way LNB, which after we had a power brownout earlier in the week, it just sort of stopped working on the DATV side. It was okay on SSB, but the vertical polarization was okay. The horizontal polarization went low gain, and it didn't seem to be working quite right. So unfortunately, I've had to take that off the dish and replace it with a bullseye. And the issue with the bullseye, of course, is it ain't anything that's stable. So I've lost the stability, but interestingly I gained a bit of MER, so it just goes to show phase noise is a problem sometimes. So apart from the SSB net on Sunday, where I'll be drifting all over the place on the downlink, I think that'll be okay. I've got the Winter Hill working with it again, and of course I'm driving it now with the 18-12 volts out of the Winter Hill, so it's actually operating in the way it should be. Which is interesting. Nice to see that works. But getting a power splitter that survives the DC is another issue. Right. So just to explain a few things then, if I can find the right picture. I don't know if this is going to come up. Yeah, it is. So the eagle-eyed will have noticed that the antenna that is in this image is not the same one as was there before. So this is now a tri-bander for 15, 20 and 10 metres. And it's working okay on 15, and it's not too bad on 20, although the gain seems to be very low compared to my dipole. But on 10 it's not a great match. It's not a terrible match, but it's not a great match. So that's anyway, that's what we're doing with the antenna side of things, and hence the antenna analyzer on the bench. Now I don't think I've got very much more to talk about apart from the terrible twins here. So Martin will be aware of these because he bought one. I already had one and I thought I'll buy another one because they were cheap. This one came and it was broken. So the one in the front is my original one, and that's been fine and good. And the one in the back is the new one that came. It hasn't got an Arduino. What I should explain what it is. It's a radio receiver that uses a particular chip, and driven by an Arduino Nano. Well, this second one had a different board on it. It didn't have a Nano on it. It had the chip directly on the board. Not a problem. But the rotary encoder, which you have to press, was only held on by 6 little solder pads, and it didn't even survive getting here. So I had to fix that, and fixing it was what I suggest that anyone who's got one of these does. Ideally before it comes off the board, I just use some araldite to make sure it's firmly stuck down to the board and therefore sorted. So that was all I've really got to talk about. So with that, let's put up a test card and pass it on. And I understand it's John, G7JTT. Right, over to you, G0MJW.
Just crossed. Let's hope it works. Or have I got audio? Yes. 1 2 1 2. Right. Microphone. I need to mute mini tune. Right. So now you probably hear me now. Even in all, apart from absence, work has been fairly horrendous for something to do with Christmas and spikes in COVID, etc. But anyway, we're off for a couple of days. Well, I'm back in a couple of days as well, so it's not a massive gap. What have I been doing? Turn this lot on. was the actual noise floor, which is just phenomenal. And the other quick picture I'll just quickly show, the Loran navigation system thing, whatever it's called, that was the picture from it. That is just stunning. You can actually see all the different components of it. It's quite a bit of art, to be honest, I think. And the reason it's more peaky towards the middle is that the antenna I was using is only, well, it isn't wide.
Yeah, G7 JTT. GU6CFB. Okay, John, thanks for that. Always very interested to hear your exploits on VLF. I've never actually tried, but I find your exploits there very, very interesting. Haven't been up to great deal of things this week. 77's transverter is now boxed and working, so that's good news. Did watch the Falcon 9 SpaceX launch this afternoon, their Transporter 3 mission, and I see we've got 10 new amateur voice satellites, and I've actually heard the beacons off of a couple of the Israeli ones, so that's all working really, really well. Mike, your beam, it looks very similar to one that I picked up, and I had similar issues to what you're experiencing. I don't know where yours has been stored, but I took the traps apart and found they were full of corrosion inside. So I carefully cleaned them with alcohol and a toothbrush and reassembled them, and the difference was absolutely amazing. One other thing is get components. If anybody knows of where you might be able to get various integrated circuits other than the normal Farnell, RS, Mauser, DigiKey, I'd be interested to know. Really struggling to get some pretty standard devices at the moment. And yeah, looking on Twitter today, all the comments about people experiencing horrendous charges for VAT and stuff, getting stuff into the UK. Pleased I live here in Guernsey, where stuff seems to turn up and yeah, without too many problems, and no VAT and silly charges from anyone for delivery there. Okay, put it round to Nigel, 2E0 EHH from GU6CFB. Back round to you there,
sure I've got. I think I've got audio. Let's just have a quick check. Yep, I have. Yeah, good evening all. And I have to say, I'm very sorry, Nigel, I didn't get your over. Bits of sound, but that was all. And I couldn't go on the streamer because it's on the same monitor, and then of course I can't tell when your carrier drops by looking at the wideband monitor. So I had to wait right the way through until your carrier dropped, and then I came on. So sorry about that. Right, I'm doing the transmission tonight using one of these, just for a change, just a test one, because I've had one person said, no, you can't possibly get that much power out of that, your test equipment's all wrong. So I thought I'll put it on the net and use it on the net, and it's working fine, I think. Seem to have plenty of power there. And it worried me. I've been through and checked all my equipment, all my measurement equipment, to make sure it's still accurate. And all the power meters agree with one another within a fraction of a dB. All my power attenuators are okay. And I worked out that my 2.408 gigahertz, my attenuator chain is 49.9 dBs. Well, as far as I'm concerned, that's near enough. It's going to read a fraction of a dB high. And at 2.32 gigahertz, it was it would read about 0.6 of a dB high, which is, yeah, I don't worry about that because I don't make much stuff for that frequency. So there you go. What else was there? Oh, I wanted to say thank you very much to James for sorting me out a power supply. I'm eagerly anticipating receiving that and having a look at it. And thank you for the little 12 volt units as well, that'd be great. Yeah, I've been quite busy with a few things, but nothing other than that outstanding. Just that I've got one person who used to work in a lab and says that the device used on these pallets can't possibly give that much power at 2.4 gigs. It's impossible. You can't get 70 to 80 watts out of them. Well, there are one or two people around who are getting considerably more than that. So there we go. Anyway, enough of that. So with that, I shall pass it around. I'll have a look on here. Oh yes, round to Richard, GI4DOH from G7NTG with the net.
G7NTG of the net. This is GI4DOH. That's good stomping signal from you there, Jim. Nigel, I had a bit of trouble with your signal. Was a bit borderline, so just went over to the streamer and got you on that, and I got caught out with Jim coming on because of the latency of it. Confused me a bit, but I think everything's okay. The usual at the start. So get it's got to be that after the phone was switched off. Play the other here, which as we shall see. And it says notes, Mike, how lovely to have a beam. I'm envious for that, but yes, they do bring problems, and traps are certainly a common source over the years. I haven't had a beam since 1980. But the nice thing about a cobweb is you don't have to worry about which direction to turn it in the middle of a contest. It's not a choice for me. And John, the cold in the garden, just waffle about a year or two ago. I think I was actually working on the 1.2 meter dish in the garden, and my fingers were so frozen that I just decided to stuff my hands kind of the camera goes sort of up inside my jacket, and I was just standing there waiting for the circulation to start when the postman suddenly appeared in the garden. He'd come to drop a parcel in the greenhouse, and he must have wondered what I was doing, standing looking at a satellite dish like that, and I was just waiting to get enough feeling in my fingers to use a spanner again. But it'll get worse before it gets better, I suppose. And Keith, on components, I got a couple of, I think they're electro or opto isolator things, TP222A or something like that, as used on one of the Portstein boards. When I ordered those about 3 months ago, they were too short in stock, and I've only just got those back in stock. So there have been various other things where I've needed to get substitutes, but I've been working away. It's got nothing to do with BATV per se. It's a moon noise meter for measuring the noise of the moon. The connection with the ATV is the little step attenuator board. Was very, very useful for calibrating it, where I have the ability to step in 0.25 degree steps and all the rest. So just got that put back together again tonight. A bit of a panic with time getting everything set up again. So that's enough for me for this time round. I'll pass it on to Martin G4FKK with the BATC Net. This is GI4DOH.
Yes, thank you, Richard. Oh dear, croaking again. Yes, thank you, Richard. I was going to say, Richard, your audio sounded a bit like my voice. There was a bit of glitching, I think, on the possibly on the Bluetooth bit of it, Richard, but all copied anyway. And the moon noise meter. See, I didn't even know the moon made some noise, so. Every day is a school day, as Gareth would probably say. Anyway, good evening all. Good to see everyone on so far. And Mike, sorry to hear about your LNB packing up. And the bullseye. Well, my one, once it's warmed up a bit, isn't too bad. But I have to. The good thing on the Langstone, you can monitor yourself and keep on net. But although it's a bit difficult to work out which one's drifting more than the other because they're on different frequencies, as it were. But yeah, so my modified Octagon, that packed up on the, well, it didn't pack up on the horizontal polarization, but it needed at least 17 volts before it would switch over, so it wasn't happy about something. And yes, interesting on the your ATS20s. If I've got my second Polycom camera working, I think if I press this button, there you go. Oh no, I probably want to do that. There you go. It wasn't on the second Polycom camera; it's on the first one. So there's my. It's not switched on at the moment, but it seems, touch wood, to work okay at the moment. Although it does crash now and again. I don't know if the software that's on it is a bit too much for it, to be honest, having had a look through it. But there we go. John, good to see you on again. I did see you actually on SQ during the week. Must have been when you were doing your tests with Colin. I didn't call in because you were deeply engrossed in testing stuff. But yeah, isn't it a joy when you go somewhere with no noise? It's quite interesting going top band mobile these days because anywhere built up is very noisy, pretty much everywhere on top band. And in the old days, when you were top band mobile, if you went under a phone line, the noise would drop down because the phone line was detuning your highly tuned whip. But nowadays, when you go under a phone line, it just massively peaks of all the rubbish they're sending down the phone lines these days. But it's interesting on the motorways on top band. There's hardly any noise on top band on the motorways, and tiny little amateur signals sound enormous. It's great. It's like the old days here. I'm glad you got back from London safely, and we're all looking forward to seeing the pictures of JTT when he was a child. I wonder if he still had the beard in those days. Probably not. Keith, hope you're feeling better after your trip to the hospital the other day. And that's quite a miracle you've announced there, the transverter working and in the box. That never happens. And I wonder what integrated circuits you're after. You may have put on the thing here. MER 8.3. Anyway, yeah. So I wonder which, because I've got a fairly large stock of vintage chips. It may not be vintage ones you're looking for. You might just be suffering from the worldwide crisis. But yeah, I think Cricklewood is still there, and Enigma are sometimes quite good at chips. Nigel, well done for getting all the OBS stuff ready. Right. Well, I reckon I'm not sure I'm around tomorrow or much of the weekend, but I'll try and. Well, it might be good if you let me know perhaps for tomorrow, Nigel, when you might be free, and I'll see if I can tweak things here to perhaps get an hour on the Zoom or something. That'd be good. Let me just do that. That's locked up. But yeah, we'll get that sorted out. Then sounds like you've got most of it sorted. Got all the gear and no idea. I like that. That sounds familiar, Nigel. Jim, yeah, putting a great big signal out on your new amplifier. I've ordered one of those actually from our friend in Poland, and I got an email from you. I don't know if it was a general post, Jim, but it was an email about how to do the mods. So I'll be trying that. And as Mike says, there's a lot of theoretical experts around. In theory, an 813 amplifier valve shouldn't be very gainy on 10 meters, but I used to be able to get lots and lots of power out on 10 meters with an 813. But you did have to prompt it a bit with a few extra volts. But yeah, you'll have to drag that chap round and show him. Right, the only other thing I think, well, apart from the fact I've fixed the other camera, which was just a dry joint on the printed circuit board where the power connector connects. So I guess it had been wiggled about at some point in its history. The only other thing I've done, some of you have seen this in progress. This is my carriage clock. It's now back in the case. It's all working, but I am going to take it to pieces one more time, just because I haven't been able to clean the mainsprings out. I've ordered the bits to make a homemade mainspring winder. One of our local amateurs that Gareth knows very well as well has offered. He's a watchmaker, has offered to do it for me, but he's very, very busy. He's a full-time carer for his wife, and he's in his 90s, so I don't want to bother him over much. Right, talking of Gareth, I'll put it round to you, Gareth. If I do that, that should work. G4XAT, G4FKK. A watchmaker has offered to do it for me, but he's very, very busy. He's a full-time carer for his wife. He's in his 90s.
Well, that works.
So I don't want to
came from somewhere.
Right,
evening all. Thank you, Martin. G4XAT.
If I
picking it up from G4XAT, BATC Net. Well, I've had a fairly busy week of this, that, and the other. This is a case in point for. It wasn't meant to do that, but I really hope we will.
He's a full-time carer for his
a
wife
nice little
in the 90s.
850 meg mobile phone amp of some sort. In the Martin, G4XAT, 3 gain sitting with that 4
KK.
Well, I've had a fairly busy week. This establishment is about 3.5 volts on the big devices, and it warms up in point. So I'm just going to send it to my to do that, but I really hope you will. In anticipation, a nice big activity. I can now do 150 meg mobile phone amp of some sort. In the Martin, G4XAT, 20 gain sitting with that 4 Well, I've had a fairly busy week. Establishment is about 3.5 volts and it warms up in point. So I'm just going to send it to my to do that, but I really hope you will. In anticipation, a nice big activity. I can now do 150 meg mobile phone amp of some sort. Busy week. About 3.5 and it warms up in point. So I'm just going to send it to my to do that, but I really hope you will. In anticipation, a nice big activity. I can now do 150 meg mobile phone amp of some sort.
Sorry about that. Just check the chat. Okay. No, that's normal now, is it? I hope so. Go again, mate. Right. What, everything? Okay. That's what you were talking about, Jim. I thought you were talking about the amplifiers. Yes, it's excellent now, thanks. Okay. That's the 850 meg PA, and I'm hoping it'll go on 437. Right, that's what addled me well and truly. So there's those two amplifiers. I've been prodding around in the junk box, and I found this, which came in a fortuitous surplus purchase. Now initially I looked at it and I thought, oh look, 1 to 10 PF, very expensive trimmers, which indeed they are, and what looks like a couple of bandpass filters with top coupling and then another one and then all sorts of funny bits. There's something going on the other side of it as well. Anyway, what I did was wonder if I could tune it on 70 SEMS. So I hooked it up to my Swarl analyzer, and with a bit of tweaking I ended up with that, a 1-to-1 match on 437. But I can't get hold of the output yet, so it's buried in a little tiny coaxial relay, and I got lost building another filter. So I'll try and show you that now. Let's see if I can get to the Polycom. We'll transition to that. Okay, that's a diplexer or a duplexer on 437. But my understanding of those is they'll only notch, they won't bandpass, and I don't think that's modifiable. If anybody wants to comment on that, that would be good. And if I change Polycom camera, that one there. Okay, that's what I built today. That's to a design from CQTV 245, September 2014, by a couple of French amateurs. That tuned up okay, but it's still got like 10 dB of loss. But it does tune nicely. And if I just move a little bit, you can have another look at the strange filtery thing. Come on. Oh, it's got a bit of wire in the way. That's horrible video. Here we are. So, fascinating. And it's got all the little coax stubs in it and all sorts of things. No idea how that works. but all part of the learning curve. Okay, round to you, Dave, and I hope you have a good break, well deserved. I need to email you, which I've been meaning to do all day, but I'll send that off later. So G8GKQ to pick it up from G4XAT, looking for his test card and hoping he gets it right this time. Over.
G4XAT in the net, G8GKQ. Okay, well, thank you for all the contributions there. Some comments, Mike, sorry to hear about your LNB dying. Don't know what might seem strange to actually have had a power spike associated with a power cut, but wonder if it was that. John, the Loran looked amazing. I've never seen Loran presented that way. I have actually used it for navigation once, but really nice view of that, that's for sure. And thanks for going out and testing on SQ as well. Keith, certainly lucky being able not having the import problems. Integrated circuits, somebody was asking about. I think it might have been you, Keith. I've just ordered some stuff from a company called FutureLec, but they haven't arrived, so I can't recommend them yet. I've used them in the past, but not recently. Have some reasonable stock. The other one is Mainline Electronics have an eBay site. Anna Louise, I think, is the name of the eBay seller, and they have a very good stock of components and are UK based. So those are two to watch. Nigel, if you want to get the IP address of your ports down, just go to menu to info, and it will be there. Menu to info to get the IP address of your ports down. You mentioned that. Jim, you're certainly getting some power out of that amplifier. That's good to see, although not so good to see with my band plan right ahead on. Probably pushing it a little bit. We need to just set a reasonable example. My main activity, FutureLec have been slow recently. Thanks, Dave, for pointing that out. My main activity of the week has been working on the ATV repeater software. Those of you who watched the HV Net on Tuesday night might have seen it in its early form, and actually most of the problems that occurred on Tuesday were nothing to do with the ATV repeater. They were all to do with the HDMI switching and the streaming. The main issue is that the streaming from HDMI setup I use doesn't like HDMI signals without audio. And if you don't give a Raspberry Pi an audio source, it sends HDMI with no audio at all. So I've written a little routine to output pink noise at about 1% volume. So if you turn the volume up really loud, you can hear this pink noise. But it does mean that the ATV controller always has audio. So that has been one of the major problems. The other one that's taxing my brain today is infrared key tables and Lurk, Linux infrared controller. If anybody has any experience with Lurk, I'd really like some help, because I can't understand the config files. I have mine working, but I'm struggling to get a solution that will work for everybody. And Noel, I know, has struggled with it this afternoon as well, but thanks for trying that anyway, Noel. As I say, I'm away as of next Tuesday for a couple of weeks, but look forward to seeing you all when I come back. So without further ado, back round to Mike with his resting LNB, G0MJW, and the net, G8GKQ.
Okay, yes, well, you probably need to be over 40 to get that reference these days, but yeah. I think most people will understand what that was, but it isn't actually a Norwegian Blue LNB. It does work, it just doesn't work very well. I'm sorry for the bumpy video on that polycam there. It's on full zoom and it's sitting on top of the desk, so it's been pushed about by me. Right, just a few comments then, or loads actually, weren't there? And yeah, just firstly, Dave, on that audio problem, and the original reason for having 30 hertz on the test card, actually it was originally 512 hertz or whatever it is, middle C. Very annoying, that tone, so I lowered it a bit. I discovered that without that tone, I couldn't capture properly the stream coming into FFmpeg. A long time ago. There seemed to be some problems with it anyway, so that's why, I think, and it might have been related to that. But good you got it solved, and a little bit of white noise. Or how about a subaudible tone, like the one I'm using. We could have different ones: 30 hertz, 31 hertz, 32 hertz, 25 hertz. 15 hertz. They'd probably destroy lots of people's subwoofers, but hey ho. Right, anyway, yeah, low noise in the forest. Very good, John. Glad to see you managed to get out and do some interesting things there. And Keith, yeah, it's a ZX Yagi Mini 2000 from about 2003 or 4 when I got it second hand. I used it briefly, but I've been storing it for the past 20 years nearly, and it's been stored inside, so it should be okay. I looked at one of the traps and it was fine, but I do remember the traps in the middle do get water in them, so maybe there's a problem there. I'll have to have a look. I had to really drastically shorten the centre element though to get it to match anywhere sensible on 10 metres. And then I came to the conclusion, actually, wouldn't it be better, maybe, if you do take something like that and use a much bigger full-size 10-metre beam and put the traps on the end of that and then had a fairly short extension. It wouldn't be much bigger. Make a bit bigger spacing. It'd be a lot more efficient on 10 metres, probably more efficient on 15 metres and 20 metres as well. It's just very small, so it's losing a lot of gain. I don't like the idea of the centre traps. I wish they'd make one without the centre traps, basically. Nigel, all okay? But there was one point there where you said that you'd spent possibly nearly up to £3,000. And if you mention that, the rest of us will sort of shuffle away and shuffle our feet and grumble and not say anything very much, because it doesn't sound like a lot compared to what other people have spent on their radio kit over the past few years. Jim, yeah, always good to check. One thing I've noticed actually is meters like Bird 43s, anything with a diode in it, can give erroneous readings when there's plenty of harmonics present. I know this because I was developing the 4-metre beacon and the 6 and the 40 megahertz and 60 megahertz beacons, and at one point I was getting more power out indicated on the Bird than I was putting in as DC, which is never likely. So you do have to worry about harmonics, but I suspect actually as long as you've got it calibrated it should be pretty accurate. And transistors can produce more power than they're rated at. It's just how long will they do it for, how well cooled are they, etc., etc., and how long will they last. So it's, the specifications are based on all sorts of things, not just the maximum power that you can get out of it. Good luck with the EME, Richard, and Martin, congratulations on fixing the clock and the camera. That problem with PCB mounted connectors having dry joints on them is very, very common indeed. I wonder how long it'll be before the mini tuners start having the same problem. And Gareth, good to see you've got the polycoms working. in terms of the component suppliers, that was the other question, wasn't it? I use eBay actually quite a bit now. Mainline are on eBay, and I can't remember what their name is. But there's also Bright Components, who do lots of bits and pieces. Racing Bolts, who are basically Torbury, and you can get Anderson power poles and all sorts of things from them. Switchelec and quite a few others. So eBay can be a good source, but it's getting expensive. AliExpress is cheaper, but things take longer to come, and they're a little bit variable. So I don't know. But I tried to log into CPC this week to order something. I could not get their website to work, so I abandoned that order and ordered it on eBay. Ever increasing cleverness or things to do with cookies are causing these Farnell group websites to be unusable. So it's good for Mouser, it's good for DigiKey. You need to be able to manage that sort of thing. But Mouser have been slow recently. DigiKey are great, but things have been out of stock. And same with RS. Lots and lots of stuff out of stock now. Even the chip that I looked at a few weeks ago for my amplifier monitor board, that's out of stock at RS. Plenty in AliExpress there, but they've all got long lead times on them too, so it's going to get difficult building things going forwards. Anyway, who is next? I think it's John, isn't it? Still, so right to you, John, and 7-3 everyone. Nice to see everyone again this week. Dave, have a nice holiday. G7 JTT, G0 MJW.
Yeah, okay, yeah, thanks there, John. All interesting to see the old photos. Yeah, I think we can all pull out something like that if we go and look through the old drawer of photos. Yeah, thanks everyone for the info on supplies. I've made some notes. Some of them, well, most of them I knew of, a couple I didn't. Yeah, we'll take a look there. It's not, it's all modern stuff I'm after, surface mount. I've got a couple of projects on the go here, and yeah, struggling, but we'll get there eventually. Jim, I'm using one of those pallets. That's what we're transmitting on now. The only mod I've done to mine so far is to remove the filter and to change the outputs for SMAs. That's the only mods I've done, and I'm leaving that one as it is for the moment. I've ordered the second one, which is on its way, and I will mod that one in line with your instructions. And I've also ordered some big lumps of copper and aluminium to water cool it all. So yeah, that's a project. Just waiting for the big CNC machine to be installed, and we can have a go. Thanks, Martin. Yeah, feeling better. Still got a croaky voice, but yeah, kind of yeah, a lot better. Back to work next week. Yeah, one question I do have is about when I start transmitting, the amount of time it takes for my Ryde to lock. Quite often I'll get the on-screen display coming up giving my call sign, etc., and then it can take 20 to 30 seconds at time to lock, even though I've had the ports down on transmit for some time before I've actually turned the amplifier on. So either I've got something set wrong, or I'm not doing something right. So still learning here. And okay on the money spent there, Nigel. Well, kind of I've been hauled over the coals by the XYL today, funnily enough, for the expenditure it's gone on, like the PA module and various other bits and pieces. And like John there, I kind of borrow lots of stuff from other amateurs to test, or they bring stuff round for me to repair. It just never goes back there. So yeah, that's it from here anyway. So round to you there, Nigel, and good luck with getting your OBS sorted out. That's a whole new ball game there. 2E0 EHH GU6EFB.
Alright, 2E0 EHH, I'm returning. I turn that down, I can see. I've reduced, now it should be interesting, Jim, when you on this over, I've turned the FEC down to, it was on 2/3, and I've changed it down to half. So now I'm getting the picture as well, so seems to like it. I know I've got a problem with the deafness of the receive, so you know, when the warm weather comes. Oh yeah, oh MER 7.1 D6 from Mike. Cheers, Mike. Yeah, it seems to like an half. 2.5 D from Jim. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and the trouble is, I'm married to an ex-banker, and she likes to control the funds, so I'm a bit MPEG that way. But never mind. I get it there. I get my own way eventually. It's just got to let it blow off steam. But anyway, I won't be without him. So we've all got his little cross to bear. Yeah, Martin, I've sent you a text. We'll put it on the screen, but I'll just say otherwise. Yeah, any time after 10, any day, or afternoon after 2:30. Why it is because because with my condition, I wake up at 8 o'clock, take the medication, about 15 tablets, then go back to sleep for 2 hours, and then I'm fit to go then after 10. But anyway, I'll fit around you, but that's a broad part number anyway. Anyway, it's nearly 10. Oh, 5 past 10, 9. Yeah, Martin, yeah, your carriage clock looks alright, mate, yeah. Did a good job there. Yeah, what else? Have I got anything to say on my list? I write it down and I forget to say, but I think that's about it for now. So, I'll hand it over to Jim, Golf 7 November Tango Golf, NTG. You're going to have to stop the carrier. But, nice to see you all, and, catch you, and David, have a good holiday and a fortnight, mate. You deserve it, how much hard work you do in the BATC. So, you know, you're going to go have a nice 2 weeks on the ferry and, forget about us for a fortnight. Okay, enough for me. Too easy, round it back to Jim. Standing.
Just make sure I'm on it. Oh, that's noisy, isn't it? That feedback. Yes, right, much better, Nigel. That was fantastic. Made a colossal difference. You're well above the D0 figure, which it was hovering around last time. I was getting scraps of sound, but nothing else. But this time, great. The only difference with having a low, setting your low FEC is that you get a slightly blocky picture, but that doesn't really matter too much. We've seen your superb picture. It's strange because earlier on in this evening, before the net, you were testing and it was brilliant. There you go, very strange. Right, what have I got here? Oh, right. You can see I've been busy building. I've built a couple of amplifiers there to test, and they're within 1 dB of each other, and that's fantastic. And I've also done a couple of pallets as well, and they're with the same, they're all within 1 dB, so they're repeatable, so everybody should get the same results. Right, filters. Somebody was on about filters. I have here a waveguide evanescent filter. I don't know whether you can see what's down inside. It's very crude, built with bog standard stuff out of the garage, out of the junk box. This one is 1255 and it's got 1 dB loss, so it's not bad. Now I have built, this is built with 2" by 1" box section. Now what I have done is built one with 2" by 4" box section and about twice as long as this for 70 cents, and again it was less than 1 dB loss. So I'll have to I think that's a call for another article. I plagiarised what other people had done and then extrapolated it, and it all seems to work. So I'll publish my figures. That might be of interest. Another article for CQTV. If people are looking for very simple filters to make, they're very easy. Now I think Mike was saying these amplifiers, all right, they're being modified, going way over their design, and it's going to shorten their life. Well, yes, of course it is. But the thing is, it's the cost, the price of them. Us amateurs can't afford to spend much, can we? If you can get a pallet like that will do the job, it may only do it for a few years, but it's going to do the job, isn't it? So there you go. And yes, sorry about the power level, Dave. It's because I'm using this new pallet, and I'm used to, on my main amplifier, used to the power gradually dropping. So it comes up high to start with and then fades out. But it doesn't on this, it stays more or less the same. So that's another selling point for the pallets. But there you go. Right, with that, that's enough from me, I think. I think I've covered all the points. So with that, it's round to Richard. So GI4DOH from G7NTG with the net. So, and I'll say 73s.
G7NTG with the net. This is GI4DOH. Fine signal again from you there. And Nigel, that was much better this time. You're sort of well clear of the threshold that I need to get you. So you've certainly sorted that out. And yeah, fine on the amplifiers and the as well. Yeah, I agree that as we sort of try to get more out of them, yes, we will shorten the life, but there's nothing like having a spare sitting there just in case. So always got that. And the also what you're saying on the filters, and Gareth, the getting into some interesting things there with as much as the electrical aspect of things. So I've a lot to learn about these things. Martin, you commented on my my audio. I've wound the gain down a bit. I was probably letting it work on its own automatic gain control, which is not a good way of doing things. So I hope that's a bit clearer and not getting into saturation. The thing about the activity weekend, I guess I'm sort of ready to get going on 23 centimeters. It's something despite the weather and the rest. So it's something I must do. That I'm sort of new to this sort of thing. Is there a particular Zello group or something like that that I should belong to? I do have the Zello app on my phone, but apart from GI7UGV, where we've had some outings together, I don't have any other contacts on it. So I wonder if there's anything I need to know. And the other thing is, of course, what sort of signal I should be looking for. I assume it's DVB S2 and 333 kilosymbols per second or something. That should do. I need to look at I think there is a list on the BATC wiki with the typical things and that. So I'll have to try and get out and see if I can actually have a QSO with that. Apart from that, not a lot else here. I've been faffing about today with the 3D printer, trying to teach it to pause on demand so that I can recess a little hexagonal socket, pause the print, put a nut in, and then have a print over the nut. And hit a lot of problems, and now I know how to do it. It's all straightforward, apart from the printer did hang and then restarted with its the wrong level, trying to gouge the glass the glass pad, which resulted in a rather mangled nozzle. So I've had to replace the nozzle on the extruder, and I need to start again. But I think I've broken the back of it. Just it's been a tough day with schoolboy errors, misunderstandings, and lots of other things. But once I achieve that, it'll be a useful thing to be able to do in the future. So wish you all SM3s. I hope to be along next week. Dave, enjoy your break, and see you when you get back. And I'll pass it on to Martin, G4FKK with the BATC Net. This is GI4DOH.
Yep, thanks, Richard. GI4DOH, G4FKK. Yep, let's turn that down. And, well, all very interesting. I'd never heard of an evanescent filter, Jim. So, say every day's a school day, isn't it? That looks very interesting. And well, I guess 4 inches by 2 inches. And what, about that long? Or is that the one that got away? For 77s, that's not too bad, is it? Gareth's got loads of room in his shack, haven't you, Gareth? Not. Anyway, very good. And yeah, that filtery thing you showed, Gareth, looked very, very pretty. And it'd be interesting if you can make it do what you want to. I've made a note of the September 2014 CQTV. And yeah, Dave, the work you've been doing on the repeater gadgetry was very impressive on Tuesday, even though you had to sit there driving it for some of it. But it looks as if you'll get that all sorted out. And it was a real joy to get the HD from HV. We already get it from JV, of course, but only intermittently for me at the moment. Yeah, interesting about putting the pink. I remember having to do that with something, but that was an analog thing years ago. Oh, I know what it was. It was a silence detector for the BBC when they did the. They used to do proper silence at on the 11th hour on the 11th on our radio station. So of course it would trip all the emergency tapes and things. So I put pink noise on it. That was what it was for. And yeah, have a great holiday next week. And for everyone else's, they won't be impressed, but Dave's asked me to stand in for him running the net next week. So expect chaos. Yeah, Mike, your 30 hertz is definitely not sub-audible here. It's Radio 3 transmits silence, yeah. We did a costing once of who did the most expensive silence, and Radio 3 won because they had more of it and they had more subsidies than anyone else. I can't remember who the cheapest was. Yeah, the 3-element beam, it looks very good. I've got a TH33 Junior in the garage, which has been there for, well, at least 25 years. And I was going to put it up last year, but I discovered that the fir trees that are cunningly placed to provide a support for my 60-foot pole for my top band aerial, and B, to prevent Mrs. FKK seeing too much of the mast with the aerials on it, with the beams on. That tree had not only grown taller, but it had also grown fatter, so I can't actually fit the HF beam up there at the moment till that tree gets trimmed back. But yeah, no, I was reading my. That's how sad I am. I was reading my CPC catalogue today, Mike, and they've got some video cards in there which look a reasonable price to me. Whether they've actually got any in stock is another matter, of course. Yeah, John, next time you're in the Orpington area or anywhere near JV, let us know. And to that point, Richard, I think Mike's already put it up on the chat, but yeah, ATV South on Zello is a good meeting place. I think there's an ATV North as well, but Rob M0DTS usually logs into to ATV South when he's doing that. And yeah, spending mounts up, doesn't it? I mean, this Polycom system is actually very cheap, 30 quid for the unit and 12 quid for a camera. But I've got 2 cameras, 2 expensive HDCI leads. So I've probably spent around 100 quid on the Polycom system already, which is a bit poor, isn't it? So it does mount up. I'm glad you're feeling better, Keith. And Nigel, well, yeah, well, maybe if we could do 10:30 tomorrow, I will have to confirm that. And I'll drop you a WhatsApp message on that front. And yeah, your picture here on 2/3 was really good. Really impressive quality, because I think you're running H.264. So I'm going to have to find out from you tomorrow how you do that. What was the other thing? Jim and your evanescent filter. Thank you for that. Yeah, I didn't hear any. Well, there was one glitch, I think, Richard, on the audio last time, and the 3D printing. Yes, I must get into that. I'm just going to quickly show John this. That is that's me when I was about 18 months old. Wasn't I cute? That apparently was a bucket full of mud. Anyway, that's enough of that. Oh, and I'm very glad this transmission's lasted out. I don't know if I told you a couple of weeks ago my 28 volt power supply packed up, and I replaced these two nominally 680 microfarad 250 volt capacitors, and it now works again. I say nominally because they're now about 400 microfarads, although the ESR and IR, the loss looks okay, so who knows. Anyway, it's working again now, and it hasn't made any nasty cracking noises. Right, I think that's it for me, so I shall push it back round to you, Gareth, and thanks all for coming up on the net, and I shall look forward to seeing some or all of you, apart from Dave, next week. G4XAT, good night all, G4FKK.
Right, let's see what I can get wrong this time. G4XAT. Right, let's see what I can get wrong. I think that's okay. Right, thank you, Martin. I won't be around next week either. I'm helping son install his kitchen. So if I put a camera on me, that would be good as well, wouldn't it? Thanks for the info on filters. I've heard the name, but I haven't looked those up yet. Interesting stuff though. The filter, this one here, if you look at the center resonator, it's got a coupling bar across the top, and the article in question says that for 2 megahertz bandwidth the coupling line was 37. Well, I made it 40, but my coupling is coming out at about 1.5 meg, I suppose, looking at my spectrum analyzer and stuff. So I'm just wondering if I can sort of make it like an upside down U, put longer tails on it and get a bit more coupling in, but it's not supposed to have 10 dB loss. Whatever. Yeah, okay. That's what I was beginning to learn, I think, Mike. That's relevant. Okay, I've got a query from Justin, who's not available this evening. He's blown up a Pluto. He doesn't know how. He can't get it back to life by any means whatsoever. So he was luckily within warranty, so it's been replaced. He's got a revision C, and he's got the 0.32 software in it. And he was wondering which processor he chooses when he upgrades. He's tried the AD9364 option, but as far as he can tell, it just gives him the ability to have 2 receivers. Since he only needs one, he's playing safe and is using the 9364, which is working perfectly, and apparently the performance is better than his old one, more output and less sidebands. So any comments anybody's got on that would be good. If I was swamped in the noise with my wraparound audio, please take that out, Tim. I don't want to look a complete plonker on the YouTube video when you edit it up. Thank you very much. And if anybody wants to play, I'm around on 70 cents and 23 cents until Sunday evening. So there we are. All good stuff from everybody. Good copy second time round. Nice to see a few people and hear what you're all up to. So with that, back round to you, Dave. So GHGKQ to take it from G4XAT. Evening all. I won't bother with the test card, though if I do, you will at least be able to
G4XAT and the group G8GKQ. Okay. Well, some really interesting stuff there. It's amazing what comes up. Yeah, effervescent filters, or however you say it, I've used a couple of them. Both built in waveguide 16. I originally built them for some tests we were doing at Goonhilly on 3 gigs. One of them tuned down to 2.95 gigs, and that's used on the output of an ADF 4351 to clean up the waveform before it goes into receive filter. And the other one's tuned up to about 3.9 gigs, and that's used again on the output of 4351 in my 5.6 gig transverter. I've got a bit of waveguide to make a 5.7 gig one, but never got round to it. But they are very good and very easy to align, so I would recommend them for the higher gigahertz bands anyway. Keith, you asked about lock time for your receiver. It all comes down to VLC. If the Ryde is displaying your call sign and the service ID, it means that VLC has not locked, and it may be that you are using too long an interval between the iframes in your transmission, because with H.265 it won't give you the first picture until it sees an iframe. So that's deep in the config settings, worth having a look at. But it will, it's quite simply when VLC can construct a picture from what data it's received. I'll just turn my power up by 1 notch. Jim, thanks for moderating the power. It's just if the BATC net is seen to be too loud, other people will just take the mic. But I must admit, we are all running slightly over, but I think for this net it's probably justified. We're not actually using that much transponder power, not like the 1 mega signal that has just gone down, or the 2 mega symbol one that's just come up and reduced me immensely. Richard, when you go out portable, I would suggest before you go you contact Rob M0DTS. Certainly looking at what I can see on the map, I think he's probably your best bet for a contact on 23. And yeah, ATV South is probably the best thing. Gareth, the coupling on the filters, I would suggest you need a couple of little soldered down bits at the end to be parallel with the elements. I think most of your loss is probably in lack of coupling, and the reason the bandwidth is a bit wider than it might be based on the small amount of coupling you've got is that the Q is low, because from looking at that filter I would say the driving spikes on the outer elements are perhaps a little high. You can move those up and down, and that will change your Q and bandwidth as well. Just play with it essentially, but you probably want to try and get your line working with the sweep generator on the port stand. You'll find things a lot easier to adjust. And you can actually normalize that to check the actual insertion loss. Keith, in response to your comment, have a look at the parameters in your encoder that you're using on the PC for IPTS in. Right, I think that's it for this week. IRCTL is going to be my job for tomorrow. John. I think, don't know whether that's about me, John, or not. No. obviously not. Oh, I see. It's about the 2 megasymbol signal. I've just received a message from John. Thanks for the interesting net and the comments about IRCTL. I'll have a look at that tomorrow. And look forward to seeing you all in 3 weeks' time. G8GKQ, leaving the frequency clear. Good night.